I said Meghan Markle is, of course, a lifelong feminist, which she's demonstrated by marrying a prince and giving up her job.
And this was the most savage dig yet. I mean, they actually call her a tit. Watch this.
Yeah.
Okay. King Charles visited the U.S. to mark the 250th anniversary of American independence from Britain and to seek the release of a British hostage being held by an American
I'm almost speechless.
$200 million, 2 major studios, and a comeback story that people were told would be impossible to ignore.
What's the title of her show? Love Meghan. For what? To watch? Who wants to watch Meghan Markle bake a pie?
The headlines were huge, the expectations were even bigger, and the message seemed clear. This was supposed to be a triumphant return that would silence every critic and prove everyone wrong.
I watched the Harry and Meghan Netflix documentary. Now, I'll be honest with you, before I watched it, I was not a fan of theirs. But now I've actually heard their side of the story, I hate them.
But then reality stepped in. By the end of the year, the show wasn't sitting near the top of the rankings. It wasn't even close. It landed at number 383. Not number 3, not number 38, number 383.
Oh my gosh, I work so hard.
Shut the bitch. You're idiot.
For a project surrounded by that much attention, that ranking became a talking point all on its own. That's exactly the moment comedians had been waiting for.
Yeah, they were very worried about their safety, which I get that aspect of things. After 6 episodes, I wanted to attack them.
Once those numbers became public, the jokes practically started writing themselves. Suddenly, every late-night host, commentator, and critic seemed to have something to say.
Meghan Markle has finally revealed why she and Prince Harry call each other M and H. What could it be? A mystery for the ages.
I said H was H was accepted. H has been, H called me with H, and H was out, and with H.
Then Jimmy Carr stepped into the conversation. The funny thing is, he didn't need a complicated punchline. He didn't need a dramatic rant. He simply laid out the facts in his trademark style, calm and direct, almost like someone reading notes from a file. That made it hit even harder. After that, others piled in, and the criticism started coming from every angle. And the most cutting line of this entire saga? That comes later from a woman who actually knew Harry personally. Out of everything said during this controversy, that remark stood out because it came from someone with first-hand experience.
Meghan Markle was there, who's a huge celebrity.
Yeah, you guys love suits.
Specifically, Prince Harry loves suits.
Yeah.
He used it like Tinder.
Here's what makes Carr different. He rarely raises his voice. He doesn't look angry. Instead, he delivers sharp observations with the same tone someone might use while reading a shopping list.
Prince William or Prince Harry?
Prince William or Prince Harry? Well, the royal family, right, if you can imagine, they're like our Kardashians. Prince Harry is very much our Kanye. He occasionally dresses as a Nazi, and he fucked up.
Somehow, that calm delivery makes the comments land even harder. Then came one sentence that seemed to sum up the entire situation. This isn't being discussed like a monarchy anymore. It's being discussed like a reality show with better hats.
Harry and Meghan say they'd now like to split their time between spending your money in the UK and spending your money in Canada.
And here's where things became even more controversial. People weren't talking only about fame or publicity. They were talking about money. Public money. Your money, not theirs. That's when the debate really caught fire and people started paying closer attention.
What I discovered that she was hunting for a man in England. She wanted wealth and she wanted fame, and she targeted Harry.
In entertainment, people can recover from bad reviews. They can recover from failed projects. They can even recover from public criticism. What is much harder to escape is the growing perception that the talent never matched the hype. Fair or unfair? That's the question critics kept bringing up.
We love American telly. My brother's fiancée, Miss Meghan Markle, is on the American program Suits.
Yes, Wednesdays, 8 p.m, USA Network. Check it out. She's amazing in it. Yeah.
Right. The only difference between that show and this is people watch this one.
Oh, hilarious.
Some people would say, people watch this one, and even that sounded more like polite encouragement than genuine excitement.
I know who Kate Middleton is. beautiful woman.
Yeah, we're fine.
Great mum. Whenever the kids are being fussy and not going to bed, she puts on an episode of Suits and they're out. So.
What are you doing?
Ow! Stop it! Stop it!
Just give him a wet willy.
Yes, in England it's called a moist Matthew.
But here's the part that keeps coming back into the discussion. The opportunities were there. The major platforms were there. The audience was there. Many actors in Los Angeles would dream of getting chances like that. The comeback opportunity arrived, the spotlight was shining, and then everyone watched to see what would happen next.
The intention of the show was to share more of myself.
You keep saying Meghan Markle, you know I'm Sussex now.
To share tips that I love in my life.
When nature has given you all the cues on how to have a perfect taste of something.
Oh, how fun is that? I love it.
I appreciate what hard work looks like. I like working hard.
Then came the big Netflix project in 2025, the one that was supposed to prove the critics wrong and show that all the hype had been justified. Instead, the reviews landed with a thud. Critics gave it a score of 36%, a number so low that people immediately started talking about it. Even more surprising, audience reactions weren't much warmer.
This woman is being paid millions of dollars to show how to cut into a pineapple.
How bad that trailer, that seems like the worst show that I've ever heard of.
I love a bad watch. I love a good bad watch. This is not that. This is really grueling to get through.
Yeah. For a project that arrived with this much publicity, that wasn't the kind of conversation supporters were hoping for. The rankings only added to the problem. Despite all the attention surrounding the launch, the show didn't break into Netflix's top 300 titles for the year. It ended up at number 383 instead. For a production backed by major resources and endless headlines, that result raised a lot of eyebrows. Then Season 2 arrived and made even less impact. Funny how quickly expectations can collide with reality.
My look. Look. She likes my look.
Your fashion is like one of my favorite things.
It's the biggest piece of dog
And then there was the Netflix deal itself. For years, people talked about it as if it would be the crowning achievement, the partnership that would change everything. But when renewal time came around, the excitement seemed to fade away. The deal quietly came to an end, leaving critics with plenty to talk about. If somebody had written that storyline into a script years earlier, many people would have called it unrealistic.
Your millions from Netflix for no one knows what.
Put it with the rest of them.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle will still get paid millions of dollars for doing absolutely nothing. And that's just by Netflix.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
Keep this detail in mind. Millions were invested, enormous expectations were created, and yet the results became one of the biggest talking points of the entire saga.
Meghan Markle, the only thing she found was a rich, famous husband.
The nearest thing Meghan Markle ever had to a billion-dollar idea was marrying a prince.
Then came Spotify. One series, 12 episodes, and then it was over. What really grabbed attention was the reaction from an executive connected to the company.
I'm going to pose this question to you. You do a lot of business deals, a lot of negotiations.
I do?
Well, let's just
I wish I had been involved in the Meghan and Harry leave Spotify negotiation. The grifters. That's the podcast we should have launched with them. I got to get drunk.
He didn't reach for a carefully polished corporate statement. Instead, he used a word that instantly made headlines. Grifters.
Sorority girl, actress, influencer, victim. Yeah, that's totally me.
That single word followed the story everywhere. And then there's the issue that keeps coming up again and again, privacy.
We want privacy. We want privacy.
The public was told the move was about stepping away from intense attention and living a quieter life. Yet at the same time, personal experiences became the subject of highly public projects.
Well, I just think some people might say that your Instagram-loving twife actually doesn't want her privacy. How dare you, sir? My Instagram-loving twife has always wanted her privacy. And you know what else? To hell with Canada. We are leaving. We'll go find some quiet place where we can be normal people. Come on, wife.
That contradiction is what many commentators focused on. One comparison captured the criticism perfectly. A man asking for privacy through a megaphone. Even satirical shows jumped into the conversation. In just a short segment, they managed to highlight a point that countless opinion columns had spent years debating.
In California, we're just a regular couple living close to Oprah and far from the paparazzi. But not too far.
The criticism wasn't about doing something shocking. It was about presentation. Critics argued that ordinary events were sometimes framed as if they were major world-changing moments. That's the contradiction many people couldn't stop talking about.
Best way to have a snack is to take the snack out of one bag and then move them into another bag and then label this new bag, even though this bag already has a label on it. Tap water!
And then Bill Maher stepped in and put a spotlight on what he saw as the central contradiction behind the entire campaign.
They want it both ways. You know, you can't be, these people were so mean to us and poor us, and we don't want all this attention, and then let me write a book about how much we don't want attention.
Then came the book, a project that critics immediately seized on because of what they saw as an obvious contradiction. Here was a story that spoke about wanting distance from public attention, yet it arrived with a massive promotional campaign and worldwide media coverage. For commentators, that tension became impossible to ignore, and it quickly turned into material for endless jokes and late-night monologues.
Oh my God, that hat. Oh God, he's so hot. Look at him. Isn't Prince Harry? She bagged a fox.
The reaction wasn't really about one interview, one documentary, or one book. According to many critics, it was about a larger pattern. Beneath the branding, beneath the public messaging, and beneath the ongoing discussions about privacy, they kept returning to the same theme. In their view, too much of the public narrative seemed focused on grievances and old conflicts rather than moving forward. Whether fair or unfair, that became a recurring criticism. Kelly Osbourne was one of the people who addressed the issue directly, and she didn't exactly tiptoe around it.
I think he's a twat. He's a whining, whinging, complaining, woe is me, I'm the only one that's ever had mental problems. Like, my life was so hard. Everybody's life is hard.
Her point was simple and blunt. Everybody faces challenges in life. That comment resonated with many people because it reflected a feeling that had been building for years among parts of the audience. And that's where some critics believe the real problem begins. Every new explanation is meant to clear things up, but instead it often creates fresh debate. Every interview leads to more headlines. Every response leads to more questions. The cycle just keeps going.
I don't think they will change because I don't think they have the capacity to, but they obviously should. The one person who I think has been really happy about all of this is Prince Andrew. I'm guessing that he has been nudging the royal family. Can you believe what Meghan did, huh? Can you believe it? Dragging this family's name into disrepute, shaming us.
What made the situation even more noticeable was that criticism wasn't only coming from obvious opponents. Even figures who are not typically associated with conservative commentary seemed less enthusiastic over time. John Oliver, for example, wasn't exactly leading a public attack, but many viewers felt he had become noticeably more reserved on the topic. Then came another uncomfortable reality. The American audience was widely expected to be the most supportive crowd of all. Yet even there, reactions became increasingly mixed.
Clearly, Prince Harry and Meghan, we don't give a America don't give a about you.
A lot of people care. They got a Netflix
We never
show.
cared about nothing that had to do with y'all. We do not give a We don't care.
Some people remained loyal supporters, while others grew tired of hearing the same themes repeated again and again. One commentator summed up that frustration with a simple argument. Being seen as a victim cannot be the entire public identity. It cannot be the only story people hear year after year. Critics pointed out that there were enormous opportunities, global attention, financial resources, public sympathy, and a platform most people could only dream about.
She does not have friends. She does not care about other human beings. She only wants power. And the only way that she feels that she can get it is by leveraging her relationships with certain people. That's not friendships.
Their question was straightforward. Why does the conversation keep returning to the same struggles? At that point, the criticism stopped sounding like a traditional celebrity roast and started sounding more like a broader assessment of public image.
Look at that face. She's not happy.
Oh, yeah, it's so hard to be pretty. So your life is so hard. You're a princess.
And then came the moment many major names seemed reluctant to touch, except one. One of the biggest figures in stand-up comedy stepped onto a Netflix stage and took aim at what many considered the most protected and controversial storyline of the entire saga.
Everybody trying to be a victim. Like, what's this girl, Meghan Markle? Seemed like a nice lady, just complaining. I was like, didn't she hit the light skin lottery? And still going on complaining, acting all dumb like she don't know nothing. Going on Oprah, I didn't know. I had no idea how racist they were. It's the royal family. Hey, you didn't Google these motherfuckers?
Now, I'm not here to tell you what conclusion to reach, and this isn't my argument anyway. The point is that these comments came from comedians speaking on their own stages, in front of their own audiences, using their own words. That's what made the reaction so interesting to watch. One moment in particular stood out because it came from Chris Rock.
They're so racist, they're so racist. Some of the shit she went through was not racism. It was just some in-law shit. Because she's complaining, I'm like, what the she talking about? No, they're so racist. They wanted to know how brown the baby's gonna be. I'm like, that's not racist. Because even black people want to know.
Whether people agreed with him or not, the fact that one of the most recognizable comedians in the world decided to turn a major public controversy into comedy was a story in itself. When a headline that was once treated with extreme seriousness starts showing up in stand-up routines, it changes the conversation. The public mood shifts, the tone shifts. Suddenly, people aren't debating the issue in the same way anymore. That's what many commentators noticed. Once a room is laughing, it becomes much harder for public figures to control how a story is being received. Fair or unfair, comedy has a way of cutting through carefully crafted narratives and replacing them with simple impressions that stick in people's minds.
What do Mark Zuckerberg, Wallace Simpson, and Adolf Hitler all have in common?
Then Jimmy Carr took the discussion in a completely different direction. For a moment, he stopped sounding like a comedian and started sounding like someone giving a history lesson. Instead of focusing on recent headlines, he looked backward and pointed to a familiar royal story from decades ago. He brought up Wallace Simpson, the American divorcee whose relationship with King Edward VIII became one of the most talked about chapters in royal history.
Wallace Simpson, she was a divorced American lady and she caused the king to abdicate because he wanted to be with her. Do you remember?
So she's like vintage Meghan, old school Meghan.
That's a great way to describe Wallace Simpson. She's the original Meghan Markle.
Okay.
For Carr, the comparison wasn't really about personalities. It was about patterns. His point was that royal controversies involving outsiders, public pressure, media attention, and family tensions are nothing new. According to that view, history may not repeat itself exactly, but it often creates very similar headlines. That idea immediately grabbed attention because it reframed the entire debate.
No more following Granny's rules. Don't wear your pants on your head, Harry. Don't barf on the butler, Harry. If I want to play polo in my living room, who's gonna stop me?
Stop that.
Right away, Megs.
Suddenly, this wasn't being presented as a completely unique modern drama. Instead, it was being discussed as another chapter in a much older royal tradition of conflict, controversy, and public fascination. Then the focus shifted to Harry himself. Carr floated a theory that was both surprisingly gentle and surprisingly sharp at the same time. He suggested that someone who spends years having major decisions shaped by a large institution can sometimes struggle when navigating life outside of it. It wasn't delivered as an angry attack. It was delivered almost like an observation. And then something else happened that audiences noticed.
We know what that means.
That's LA. She wants to be famous. She found the guy to make her the most famous in the world, and now she's over there and she's like, if she didn't marry him, she would be on The Bachelor this season. She would be Megan M. from Sherman Oaks barista. She's just that lucky.
Whenever William entered the conversation, Carr's tone seemed to soften. The comedian famous for his cutting remarks suddenly sounded far less harsh. In fact, he shared a warm story about one brother while finding far more material to discuss about the other. That contrast didn't go unnoticed, and it became another talking point in a saga already packed with them. So here it is, the line I promised from the very beginning. And interestingly, it didn't come from a comedy special, a late-night monologue, or a packed theater crowd. It came from a podcast conversation.
I just think the proof is in the pudding, in the sense you've been handed the world and every major contract, you had podcasts, you have all of this, and you didn't deliver because you...
There's nothing to deliver.
Yeah, because you don't have it.
The person saying it was Kelly Osbourne, someone who had moved in similar circles, someone who knew Harry personally, and someone many people expected would take a softer approach. Instead, she went in the opposite direction. Her criticism wasn't focused on one headline or one isolated controversy. It was about results. Remember that number we talked about earlier? Number 383. For critics, that ranking became symbolic of a much larger issue. The argument wasn't just about popularity. It was about expectations versus reality. Huge opportunities were presented, enormous platforms were available, and yet the outcome left many commentators asking the same question: what was actually delivered? Then Kelly made a remark that reportedly left even her own co-hosts quiet for a moment.
Yeah,
you were
that's
the
right.
prince of
That's
a
true.
goddamn country who dressed up as a Nazi, and now you're trying to come back as the Pope?
That's when people listening realized this wasn't going to be another cautious celebrity discussion. She was saying exactly what she thought, and she wasn't trying to soften the edges. What made the comment stand out wasn't just the criticism itself, it was the contrast she was highlighting. According to her view, there seemed to be a major gap between past behavior, public image, and later attempts to present lessons or advice to others. That perceived contradiction became the center of the joke and the center of the criticism all at once. And that's really the bigger story here. This was never only about one disappointing show. It was never only about one podcast ending. It was never only about ratings, reviews, headlines, or social media reactions. The comedians and commentators all seemed to arrive at the same conclusion from different directions. Their argument was that public image becomes difficult to maintain when the message people hear doesn't match the picture they see.
Of course, it's easier to bet on yourself when, despite publicly failing repeatedly, whether it's Spotify or American Riviera Orchard or whatever, there's somebody waiting in the wings to give you another break because of the man you're married to, because of your proximity to the British royal family. Yeah, it's easy to bet on yourself. People keep giving you a chance despite the fact that you fail. The return on investment is not there. You lack the work ethic required to function in today's society where everybody is somebody.
Fair or unfair, that's the challenge many critics focused on. They weren't presenting themselves as the story. They were presenting themselves as observers reacting to what had already happened. That's why the ranking, the canceled projects, and the public reactions kept coming back into the conversation. Critics argued that those outcomes were speaking for themselves. In their eyes, the numbers had already started telling a story long before the comedian stepped on stage. Now I want to hear from you. Out of all the comments, jokes, and observations discussed throughout this saga, which one do you think landed the hardest? Was it Carr, Rock, Kelly, or someone else entirely? Drop your answer below and let me know which quote deserves the spotlight. And if you enjoyed the video, hit like and subscribe to Crown Clash. It genuinely helps more people find the channel and join the conversation.